Welcome to Explore English Churches, and today we are in this tiny village of Passenham it's actually in Northamptonshire, but it's right on the very border of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire, and we've come to explore this stunning church. It's St. GUTHLACS Church in this tiny little village, hamlet, call it whichever. Because I think there's only about 50 or 60 people actually live here. This church, I always say that you never know what you're going to find when you come to a church, and today is no exception. And today we have a true gem for you. Okay, so stick with me. We're going to take a wander round. Hold on, wait for that car to go. We're going to take a wander round, and I am going to show you this most stunning, wonderful church. So you're going to be blown away. I was blown away. I didn't know this church existed, and I didn't know it had so many magnificent paintings, etc. in this church. So stick with me, people, and you are going to be amazed. We're truly lucky today, and I came across this church purely by luck, in actual fact, today, because I was on my way to another church in another small village over towards sort of Great Hallwood and Little Hallwood, which sits on the Buckinghamshire border. But we're lucky here today because this wonderful church, which was first mentioned in around about the 1100s, early 1100s, by, I believe, Henry I. And I think if there's any such thing as divine providence, then that's most certainly what led me here today. Now, before I show you the church, I want to show you, because what we have to the left of the church, you can't see it, it's blocked now, but there's what used to be, or what is the rectory, or was the rectory. It's a private residence now, but also we have this massive manor house over here. Okay, Passenham Manor. Let me show you this, because it's extraordinary, absolutely huge. But we won't be able to go in because obviously it's all private now, but this place is stunning. And at one time, I'm told that in its heyday, that this manor actually had something like 30 servants. Right, I'll show you a little bit of it. As I say, I can't go in because it's a private property now, but it truly is really, really fantastic. And so the church actually sits between this apparently here, this here was apparently the rectory at one time, but then it got changed over and the rectory went to the other side. To give you some idea of where we are, this Passenham actually sits on the very edge of the new city of Milton Keynes in Buckinghamshire. And I'll show you around a little bit. We're so lucky that they've actually opened the church today. Really, really lucky. And if I'm not careful, I'm going to get run over. So let's take a wander back down towards the church. Excuse me. And we're going to go in. As I say, I may not be able to film the whole of the church today because the church is open. They've got a function. They're trying to actually raise some money to be able to build a toilet, a disabled toilet at the church, which is a fantastic idea. So I'll try and put a link in down below. So anybody who wants to support the church, please go to the church link directly, not to me. And yep, and help these wonderful people at this church gain some money so they can actually put in a disabled toilet. But before I go into the church, I wanted to show you this absolutely stunning tree. Look at the ball on that tree. Wow, that is fantastic. And look at the knobbles on this one. I don't know whether they're called knobbles. If anybody knows what they're called, then you tell me, because I've got no idea. But that, look at that, that's fantastic. So let me try to tell you a little bit more about this church. The tower, I understand, has 5 bells in, and I also understand that the largest bell weighs about 2.5 tons. But what you can also see is there would have been a higher roof. If I try to zoom in a little bit, you will see that there would have been a higher roof on the church, okay, but that was obviously taken off at some stage. And also, as we come back down, and the light's not fantastic, but as we come back down, we do have the other door that's been blocked off. It's not a very large church, and basically I believe it was probably a private sort of chapel at one time for, you know, the lords of the manor, as they were. So let's have a little look at this. So I'll put you a date on here for this. Whoa. The oldest parts of this church actually date to around about the mid to late 1300s or 13th century. The tower is actually 14th century, and if I get a chance, I've had a word with a chappie that's here today, and maybe I may be able to get into the tower. But I wanted to show you before we go in that here there would have been 3 statues. I don't know what would have been in those recesses there, but it would be nice to know, but I haven't been able to find that out yet. Okay, at the moment, as I say, they're trying to raise money for a toilet. They have this temporary toilet here, which is basically no more than a hut in the back, in the graveyard here. So if you can help them, I'll put a link in down below, and you donate directly to the church and not to anybody else, okay, and help them get their disabled toilet put in. But the graveyard is quite large, and now that we're on the other side of the graveyard, I will be able to show you what is now the rectory, although it has been again changed over to a private property. But you've got to stick with me with this one, because when we go inside this church, it's going to blow you away. It blew me away. Let's just come round and I'll show you the old rectory, which would have been basically all of what you see, even across the hedge there. That would have all been part of the old rectory. We have some amazing looking gravestones in here. I always love to see the gravestones with the moss on. We do have a memorial on the outside here. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. This doorway actually leads into the chancel. It's quite a large one, large doorway, because normally they would have had a tiny doorway for the priest, what I always consider to be the priest door. This monument up here is to Robert Bannistribs. I've read Miles, and that dates back to 1626. Okay. The stonework is obviously very weathered, but then so would you be if you dated back so far. So without further ado, we're going to go in. As I say, if you look at this also, there would have been, they've actually had to build, I don't know, there would have been another doorway here. You see that? And so let's take a wander into the church. And as I say, I can't show you and film everything today because the church is open, but it is absolutely wonderful. And here we have a plaque here, to Giles, Lord Viscount Maynard, Lord of his manor, and he is responsible for substantially rebuilding this church. And in around about 1772, he redone the chancel, which when we go up and take a look, you'll be amazed. We have these little box pews, and I've got, as I say, I've got to be very, very careful where I point the camera because there are other people in here. And this is where most of the parishioners would have been. And then what we also have here, most unusual and rather extraordinary pulpit with a sounding hood above. It does have various emblems on, and I don't know what they relate to, but they are rather gorgeous, and the pulpit itself is rather gorgeous. Let's take a wander up the pulpit. As I say, I've got to be very, very careful where I point the camera today, and as we go up the pulpit, I would like to show you this beautiful stained glass window. I don't know who that is, but that is something to do about chastity, so I understand, because this young lady is actually wearing a chastity belt. If I find out who it is, I will put something in the description. So anyway, I wanted to show you this sound hood as well. And it does have an inscription up there. And it also has a date of 1581. So it's rather fantastic. We have a gallery across the top here, and if the angle of the camera is a bit weird, it's because I'm trying not to film anybody. But yes, we have a gallery across the top there. And if I get the opportunity, I'll get up there and maybe we can do some filming from there. This is the original font, and I don't know when it dates back to. I'll see if I can find any history of it, but it's actually wooden, and it's extraordinary. I don't know what the wood is. If I had to take a guess, I would say it was rosewood, but that's a pure guess on my part. And it has these cutouts on the top here, which, if anybody knows what they were for, I've never ever seen a little tiny wooden font like this before. But that is the original font. There is another font in the church. But as I say, it's a very modern one. And as we come into this chancel, what we have, just to start with, are these absolutely fantastic wall paintings. You would never expect to find these gorgeous, gorgeous paintings in a church, basically in the middle of nowhere. And the story goes that we have some. The story goes that these paintings were actually painted over, and they were not discovered until about 1957. They were completely whitewashed over. And I want to show you as much as I can and give you as much history as this as I possibly can. Let me just pan around and show you a little bit more of the chancel, because it's just breathtaking. And the features in this church don't just stop here with these wonderful paintings and this super stained glass window. There's much more I want to be able to show you. So it may be a little bit weird, this video today, in as much as I'm just sort of blown away by this church. Here we have the saints. And I've got to be careful, you know, I always falling over. Here is also the gentleman who is responsible for restoring the chancel and making it what it is today. He wasn't responsible for the wall paintings, okay, but his monument was actually put up. It's Sir Robert Banstree. He was born at Welming, I can't read that, in Solop. Whatever that is, I don't know. He served 3 princes in places eminent, a man prudent, charitable, and very industrious. Right, that goes on, and he passed away in 1649. But when this monument was actually put up, these walls were still painted white, and no one knew that these wonderful paintings that go back to 1630 were underneath. So one of the paintings here is actually missing, where this monument of this chappie here is actually in place. It really is. These are absolutely glorious. Apparently it took nearly 10 years to restore these and take the whitewash off and to restore them. And I will tell you who actually done that in a moment. But let me show you this one. We're very lucky today because we're going to be able to go up actually into the tower. So it's very, very tight. So please bear with me. I'm having to watch where I'm going. It's exceedingly narrow. Whoops-a-daisy. And this is the actual first landing. And as I say, the tower does have 5 bells. And here are the 5 ropes for the bells. And this tower, as I say, is 14th century. Now, we are going to go up a bit further. So, again, got to be, whoops, there we go, we found the light switch. Wow, and it gets tighter and tighter as we go up the stairs. Whoops-a-daisy. I really have to be very careful here. So I hope you are enjoying climbing up this wonderful tower. I'll show you the steps, and as we go up it gets narrower and narrower, and it is remarkable. It's not very often we're able to get into the tower, so taking this opportunity. Wow, I've got to be so careful here, people. Wow. Now, whoops, I wasn't too sure what to expect. Here we are at the top of the tower. Or well, not quite the top, but I wanted to show you these enormous bells. Look at the size of that. I think that is the biggest one of all. So that's the one. I'm trying to get in a bit closer. There's another bell over there. I hope you can see that. And Here is another bell. And this is all the workings of the bells. As I say, there are 5 up here. This one is the largest. And look at that. Yeah, I know it's very dark. Look at the size of this bell, people. There will be a date on there, but I can't see it. Okay, and I'm not climbing up any further, but I do hope. Now, I'm not going to climb this ladder, which it says do not climb, and I'm guessing this ladder actually dates back to about the 14th century also. So I'm not going to go up any higher, people. Okay, but this shows you the workings of the bells, and there is the ropes that go down to the other floor. Now, in order for me to be able to climb back down these stairs, I'm going to stop filming, because otherwise I will probably break my neck. Here we are, actually in the basically the balcony, and if I turn around again, being rather careful, I'll show you where we are. And again, I've got to be careful because we have people down below, and don't necessarily want to have them appearing on the video without their consent. But what I wanted to show you here were these wonderful carvings up here. Now, I'm going to be very naughty and climb up here. I'm wondering if that is your partridge in a pear tree. And we have this wonderful chap here. How super is that? This church truly is fantastic, and it's amazing to think that this church is so many years old, and it is, you know, you've got to say thank you to all the people that have cared for this church over the years, especially the gentleman down there who had the chancel completely redone. It's fabulous. I do hope you've enjoyed this video of this absolutely wonderful church with its so many features and history behind it. I will probably come back and do another video when there's not so many people in the church. But again, it's lovely to know the church is being used, and please like and subscribe to the channel. It all helps the channel grow. It costs nothing to subscribe to the channel whatsoever. Also, if you go to my website, which is churchexplorer.com, you will be able to purchase Christmas cards, greetings cards, and various mugs of some of that, and with photographs and images of stained glass windows and the churches that I've been to.